Well, I think everyone's just curious about the concept, traveling the world without leaving home. It's the residents' home. So I think people are just curious about the ship. It's just generated a lot of positive publicity.
Ich würde das als klares Resort darstellen. Es ist wirklich nichts anderes. Es hat absolut nichts zu tun mit einem Cruise-Schiff. Absolut nicht. Wir sind wirklich ein Resort. Wir haben erstens einmal mehr als 50% unserer Gäste leben bei uns permanent. Alles, was wir anbieten, ist ähnlich einem Resort an Land, würde ich mal sagen. Der einzige wirkliche Unterschied ist, dass bei uns geht man raus aus dem Resort und man ist jeden Tag woanders. Und das Resort bringt dann von Insel zu Insel, von Land zu Land.
It's a floating community at sea. It's a resort community where the residents can travel the world without ever leaving home. So they feel as if they're at home the whole time that they're traveling. And the guests can come and stay on board for extended periods of time, and they live to travel, or our two different slogans: travel the world without leaving home and live to travel.
They're just bullshitting you. They like to think it's not a cruise ship. But in the future, we hope it will not be a cruise ship. Right now, the only difference between this and a regular cruise ship is that I've got a kitchen, so you don't have to go to the dining room for your meals. That's the only difference.
We've never targeted celebrities the people that we have on board that are the residents are people that are first generation entrepreneurs. They've all started their own businesses and have been very successful. They're pioneers. They love to travel. They like to explore the different ports where we go. So the residents, basically, they're the type of people that as soon as we get into a port, they're ashore, exploring. They eat out a lot in the restaurants. They like to go to the local markets and bring on local products to cook in their kitchens. So I think that some people thought it would be different than what it actually is, but it's really a community. A lot of the residents cook in their apartments. Some have even had me over for dinner. They've cooked wonderful meals, which is really nice. It's like going into someone's home. So it's really their home.
I've known a lot of people, even on the ship, if they live in an apartment, they never get to know their people in the apartment. Because they get up in the morning, they go to work, they come back, and they really don't interact. But with the ship, because you have your sea days, you walk around the ship and you meet them then. And also you have a common dining areas, and with the swimming pool and the tennis court, there are all sorts of activities. So not only do you meet them getting on and off a ship when you're in port, but when you're at sea.
Es hat wirklich lang gedauert, bis sich die Residenten untereinander kennengelernt haben und bis die warm geworden sind im Großen und Ganzen. Jetzt mittlerweile hat sich das aufgebaut und jetzt gehen sie gemeinsam zum Pool, die gehen gemeinsam raus, organisieren sich Partys in verschiedenen Outlets oder in ihrem Apartment, treffen sich und machen eigentlich viel gemeinsam. Und natürlich bilden sich kleine Gruppen, oder? Es sind 5 da, die sieht man immer, sind immer zusammen, und dann eben größere Gruppen woanders, die sich immer wieder treffen.
There's a residence board of directors, and there are 7 members of the board. Their primary responsibility is to communicate with the ship owner. But the board has absolutely no power to do anything.
And so who decides the tours?
Robert Riley is president of the company that owns the ship. He decides where the ship goes.
So you can only negotiate with him?
We can't negotiate.
Ulster?
What we can do is we can try to influence him,
Yeah.
but we have absolutely no power to negotiate. Negotiate's too strong a term.
Wir müssen ja 3 Jahre oder 4 Jahre im Kreis fahren, bis wir alles gesehen haben, was die Leute sehen wollen. Und wenn wir dann wieder von vorne anfangen, ist es okay.
There really aren't a lot of places to go. Okay. And how many times do you want to sail around the Pacific Ocean? And how many times do you want to sail around the Atlantic Ocean? And how fast do you want to go? I think to have a ship like this and to use it more like a hotel. So you spend a week in Saint-Tropez, a week in Cannes, a week in Monte Carlo. Spend weeks in places instead of 1 or 2 nights. Makes a lot more sense.
Well, with the ship, it started off as the concept to sell all of the apartments and have the studio residences for guests that were traveling on board. In the last year, we've had a lot of comments from our guests saying that they would like something that was a little bit larger than the studio residences, but not as large as the apartments. So that's why we're creating the 1-bedroom apartments now.
They've identified 58 guest suites. They're going to combine.
So that wasn't necessarily, but that's an experience. When you have a new idea, you learn something in the sort of introductory phase, and that was, I think, one of the lessons, one of the experiences, that there is a need for, some people want slightly smaller, to own a slightly smaller home, and so that's why we're going with the 1-bedroom apartment.
They have already established prices on the units. The guest suites behind the lifeboats are $750,000 US, and then a guest suite is about 900,000, whereas a combined unit is either 1,700 or 1,700,000 or 1,800,000.
We have found that we have a demand for all different types of travel, and it's more like a hotel than a typical cruise ship. We have people that come and go every day. So on a ship, you normally have a set embarkation day where everyone has to come on board on the same day and debark on the same day. What we do is we allow people to check in anytime they like. It's a minimum stay of 3 days. So you can stay as little as 3 days or as long as you like. And then the residents come and go as they please as well. So you have residents that come on board at different times, also embarking throughout the year. So it's more like a hotel community.
You're aware that the residences, the people that own the apartments, are trying to negotiate with the ship owner to buy the ship, so that the people that own the ship now, the bank, has to try to make it look as if the ship's more valuable. Because you have Residency is the name of the company that owns the ship, and the stock, or the Residency, is controlled by a German bank. Because Residency is losing money every month,
We thought so.
they have to borrow money from the bank. Okay, so the bank loans money, and the ship is the only collateral it has. So one thing you have to do to create value is sell the guest suites. If they were only renting the guest suites and not renting very many of them, then you can't show a lot of value for the guest suites with a low rental experience. So now, if the average guest suite is $800,000, and you have 90 of them, that's $72 million worth of value or collateral.
Yes.
But it's all smoke and mirrors because it's only 72 million if in fact you can sell them. And they've only sold maybe 10 apartments in the last year.
Wir kommen mehr und mehr drauf, was wir eigentlich darstellen. Ich meine, das war ja wirklich nur eine Idee und eine Idee, die vorher niemand gehabt hat. Das ist ja ein gewaltiges Projekt, um das in die Tat umzusetzen, das braucht schon ein bisschen was. Und wir haben uns auch sehr unseren Gästen angepasst. Also man hat am Anfang, denkt man, ja, wir verkaufen Apartments um $5 Millionen und der Gast, der ein Apartment kauft für $5 Millionen, nimmt man natürlich an, der lebt nur in einem gewissen Level, nur mit Kaviar, Champagner und Trüffel in meinem Bereich. Und das ist absolut nicht der Fall. Der Gast, den wir haben, ist ein ganz normaler Gast, der ganz normal lebt wie jeder andere Mensch, nur dass er eben bei uns da lebt. Und auf das haben wir uns eigentlich langsam jetzt eingestellt über das letzte Jahr. Dass wir eben das anbieten, was der Gast, den wir an Bord haben, wirklich möchte.
Yes, yeah, no, we started off with a ship that was almost twice as big, with close to 300 apartments and about 180 guest suites, 80,000 tons, and so it was. Yes, it was larger, but then because of some difficulties in securing shipbuilding contract and so on, we downsized to this size, and which in retrospect was ideal.
They couldn't finance the original ship, which was for 288 apartments. And that's when they had to go to the bank to borrow the money, and at that time they gave the bank equity. And I think they also made a deal with the bank that if they didn't sell all the apartments by the time the ship was delivered, they'd lose the ship. So the original investors are no longer involved. They've lost their money.
For our purpose and for what this is about, where people have their homes and travel, as Jessica explained, this is really an ideal size.
When you buy something, you want to know what it cost. And part of the cost in the apartment is the maintenance fee.
Which is quite high.
Maybe it's high, maybe it's not, but
Okay.
it's with people with a lot of money. The maintenance fee is not the reason the apartments are not selling. But if you don't know how strong the ship owner is financially, and the strength of the ship owner will determine the quality of the service you're getting. And we know that the ship company, the company that owns the ship, is losing money every month. I don't know how much. They won't tell me.
Yeah.
But if you are buying an apartment on the ship today, you'd like to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And that's the reason they're not selling apartments. They won't tell the financial condition of the company.
On the average, I think we expect about 300 to 350, but a ship this size would normally be about 1,000 to 1,200. So that's why you have a lot more public space. But again, because people live here for extended period, that was also part of the concept from the start.
Okay.
Oh, that's another problem with residency.
Yeah.
You know, they keep telling people they've got 110 apartments
Yeah.
when they only have 103. They don't tell them how much it costs.
It's a very good relationship. It's truly a community with the guests, the residents, and the crew.
And they make up stories to try to explain some things when the truth is, there's nothing wrong with the truth.